Have you ever been seated in a bar, cafe, or restaurant and overheard the people at a nearby table? They're louder than necessary. Some of them know what they're talking about, while others clearly don't. But more often than not, they're fascinating to listen to, right? Well, that's us here at the A&A Coffeehouse. So pull up a chair, hang out, and eavesdrop. We don't mind.
Hello and welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse. Go ahead and have a seat wherever you like. Adam and Anthony will be with you shortly. While you wait, please enjoy a cup of our delicious coffee. As always, we have Colombian, Cappuccino, Espresso, and Americano. For our specials this week, we have the Panama Papers and another round of espresso shots. Enjoy the warm fire while you listen to original music performed by the Corner Laughers. So sit back, grab a cup of coffee, and tune in.
The Elder Capuchin offers absolution to the people of the town.
Alright, everybody, welcome to the A&A Coffeehouse podcast. It's good to see you again. Dear God, do we have a lot to talk about today. I'm your host, Adam Kincaid, sitting to my right, wearing a red shirt, kind of pasty, like it belongs in Easter. A bloody Easter, is my co-host, Anthony DeFranco. Sitting to my left, in the purple version of the same, is the producer, Ariel Ayers.
I'd like to point out
this
is probably your shirt.
Yes,
Direct.
we are still in the Easter season,
See?
the liturgical season,
Easter's
so that's
all about
it
pastels.
works.
Easter's
I
pastels.
thought it was about the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, but that's
Colors.
That pretentious and sinister voice you just heard from across the table is our reoccurring guest host, Alvaro Gutierrez Valladares,
Yeah.
wearing a striped green shirt that looks kind of like the grass you put in the Easter basket.
That's fair. That is pastel.
And also our reoccurring guest speaker, we have Brittany Stain. She's barely wearing a shirt, but it's kind of green, the color that perhaps a basket might be.
She's fully clothed. I assure you, listeners, this is quite appropriate.
I'm not appropriate for school, but
It's a tank top. It's fine.
there's a tank top I was wearing
Most
under.
of it is currently hidden behind your arms and the table. I can see little slivers of it.
You're just getting creepy, Adam. You should
And-
really your head.
Catty corner to me is Adam wearing his Affliction t-shirt, which is way too cool for him.
Yep.
It's true.
It's better than the freedom.
And he's not wearing his hat as he normally is. His hair is kind of wild and crazy.
Oh my God! It
Um,
looks like
Wait,
Bernie
I was
Sanders.
going to do a Tempest quote and you ruined it.
But he looks like Bernie Sanders.
He is Bernie.
I got very
Okay with
excited
that.
about this. May we have your Tempest quote?
No.
She's currently frowning and shaking her head at the patriarchy.
Well, I hope you eventually
I was
regale us with some sort of
going to
poetic
be
reading.
Wink.
Dear Brittany, I assume that most of our audience does not know what the Tempest is.
You really don't think very highly of your audience, do you?
It's a Shakespeare quote. Who knows Shakespeare? Obscure writer from about 100 years ago.
obscure.
100?
I was just going to say his hair's all messed up and upstanding, more like reeds than like hair, and that was it. And then you interrupted me trying
Oh,
to...
I could have said the same thing, but after.
Yes.
So, topic one?
So,
Numero uno.
our very, very first topic is the ridiculous amount of information that was just leaked. It's called the Pentagon Papers. No, it's
No.
not.
Pentagon Papers?
We're doing an episode from quite a while back.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
The Panama Papers.
Panama Papers. Panama, the Pentagon, same thing.
Well,
Well,
I mean...
used to be, probably.
It's,
but
it's a
yeah.
consequence of
What?
U.S. intervention.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
What?
For the canal, yeah.
Alright.
But no.
The Pentagon Canal. Alright. Yeah, so the Panama Papers.
So are these papers like the bill that we had to pay for the Panama Canal or anything? Was the bill leaked out and like...
If you want to get
No,
weirdly
no.
metaphorical, then go ahead.
It's the
Oh, okay.
papers that say the Panama Canal is of a pure breed and not mixed with anything else.
Oh, wow. Nice.
It's
one of
not
those
mixed
muck
with
canals.
any other lesser canals.
So it
Like
could
the Suez.
so it could be put into like a canal show and run
right.
around, right?
So,
That'd be
what
pretty cool.
happened is there's a corporation called Mossack Fonseca.
That was very inappropriate what you just said.
specifically about you.
I know, I was offended.
This is a company that specializes in making offshore accounts and shell companies for other people
Oh, okay.
and doing it in the proper ways and things like that. While back, someone, we don't know who, an anonymous deep throat, reference to
What?
Watergate.
I thought that was the porno.
No. No,
I
Nick.
was so hoping.
I was just hoping you'd let that go.
Oh, I'm
All of our
sorry.
nightmares just came true.
Hey. So an anonymous source, akin to Watergate's deep throat, got a hold of a German newspaper called Süddeutsche Zeitung.
This is Deutsche Zeitung.
Süddeutsche Zeitung.
Kind of.
There we go.
To American.
Got a hold of them saying, we have a whole bunch of information. We would like to give it to you. And Süddeutsche Zeitung said, well, it depends. How much information do you have? And the person contacting them said, more than you've ever seen.
So the amount of information, can you fit it into like 99 lift balloons?
No. In fact, it would be 128,
Balloons?
it'd be 6 dozen 128 gigabyte iPods.
Wow. How many of those can you fit on a lift balloon?
But so, the newspaper, the German newspaper, Süddeutsche Zeitung, said, dear God, we can't go through this. It was 2.6 trilobytes of data. So 11.5 million files.
No.
It'll take them years to go
Terabytes.
through it all.
Terabytes, not trilobytes.
That's why trilobytes are a totally different thing.
Yeah.
They go like these.
Terabytes.
Yeah.
The Pokemon modeled after.
Yeah.
Metachlorons.
Yeah.
2.6 trilobytes.
2.6 terabytes.
Not a lot of information.
No.
Wow.
2.6 terabytes of data. 11.5 million files.
Wow.
They said there's no way we can go through this. So they got hold of a group called the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, and using them, divided it up with several other newspapers. They could all go
But
through
listen to
portions
context.
of it.
They'd worked with this group before, and usually a journalist that gets a hold of a scoop will do anything to just sharpen their elbows, make sure that nobody comes near. But they were able to convince them that, well, they can't contextualize it all. This involves so many countries, so many names that they're just not familiar with, that there's no way that they could do this story justice alone. So they shared this with 100 other news organizations. And they were working for an entire year without letting any of this slip.
Wow.
In spite of the fact that they knew things about stories that were breaking that no one else could know without access to these papers, they still held it close to their chests, waiting for the right moment to just expose it all.
Holy crap.
Wow.
And there's ridiculous amounts of things in this. The prime minister of Georgia, Bidzina Ivanishvili.
Close enough.
Yeah, good enough, yeah.
I attempted that and lost that like halfway through. Bidzina Ivanishvili. Ivanishvili, there you go. Bidzina Ivanishvili, the prime minister of Georgia, is implicated in some of the papers that came out. Vladimir Putin keeps coming up in
Yes, people associate
news
with him.
articles and whatnot.
Who comes directly up is Poroshenko, our good friend in Ukraine.
The former and the new one.
if you will recall,
The Candyman, too?
The whole debacle in Ukraine, where
Yeah.
they took out the Russian-leaning democratically elected president and installed
Who is
this other
also
guy.
inclement.
The reason that they say is because he was corrupt. He was certainly very corrupt, and he was implicated as well. But now they put in this guy Poroshenko, and that's the exact same thing.
He's also on the list.
EU and American leanings. So yeah.
Well, and then the commander-in-chief of Venezuela's armed forces, a guy named Victor Cruz Weffer, and the president of China, Xi Jinping, is on this.
I thought it was only a previous president who was implicated.
Nope, current one is implicated.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm hearing like 3 different papers all talking about.
Oh yeah, a tremendous amount of Chinese implication in this.
Xi Jinping's entire family, except for him, is on this.
That's not suspicious.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and not to jump the gun, but our dear friend David Cameron, his father was implicated.
Yeah.
In
Ian
fact,
Cameron.
that he was making
That's
so
the
many
one I was
calls for
excited about.
transparency. Yeah.
That's the one I got excited about because we just talked about him and he's so creepy.
Well, his affinity to pork is quite frightening.
Oh, did you not hear about that, Brittany?
No, I didn't.
You need to listen to one of our past episodes.
Although,
To
Don't
keep it
eat
short,
British ham.
and for don't eat British ham. To keep it short for our listeners, also as a
that episode
reminder,
never aired.
Oh,
I never,
really?
I never got it.
You did
You
what?
guys never gave me copies of those episodes you
You got
recorded
that
while I was gone.
David Cameron stuck his
Anyway.
penis in a dead pig.
in his mouth.
This is the Prime Minister of Britain.
Yeah,
He received fellatio from a pig.
he really loves
in
bacon.
his college days.
Was it
At a
good?
party. It was a dead pig, so
Ah,
probably not.
No. Okay.
Seeing that
Yeah.
his pigs are omnivores, I think it would be even worse from a live pig.
But still a dead pig. That was the grossest thing I've ever heard you say, Alvaro, and I'm very proud of you.
Oh dear.
But yeah, so
Welcome to America.
Did you just wait,
The listeners
wait,
can't
you said
see that I am
fellatio?
just flush red. Yes, it's the term. I'm not gonna.
So what is the slang term for fellatio?
I'm not going there.
isn't it blowjob?
So anyway,
yeah. So all sorts of people we're already beginning to see effects of this. Most of these world leaders. There's a whole bunch. There's the former Iraqi Prime Minister Ayad Alawi, the President of Argentina, Mauricio Macri, the King of Saudi Arabia.
Mauricio.
The King of Saudi Arabia, whose name I'm not even going to remotely attempt to pronounce. There's like 9 of them.
The Crown Prince. And
Amazing.
Here you go. Brittany's going to pronounce it for us. The King of Saudi Arabia.
Salman bin Abdulaziz bin Abdul Rahman Al Saud.
There you go.
King
And
Abdullah.
again, like you said, the
Well, that-
President of Ukraine, the son of the ex-United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Bashir al-Assad over in Syria, his cousins and several advisors.
Anyone here in the U.S.?
Sister of His Majesty, the former King of Spain, is implicated, as was one of our ministers, the Minister of Agriculture.
Wow.
Yes, it's ridiculous. Like you were saying, why aren't there more Americans involved in this? There's several reasons. There's not a lot of Americans listed so far. Right now, they still haven't finished going through all of this, or at least releasing all of it. We still only have a portion of it. There's 211 names that are listed with addresses in the United States. Only 211.
Wow.
We don't know who these people are yet. That part hasn't been released yet. They think this is because there's other firms and other organizations that cater to the United States. This one did not.
And also, I think it was Transparency International that brought out a list of the least transparent countries when it comes to things like this. Panama was number 13. The U.S. was, I believe, number 3. So worse. So, I mean, if you're able to get those services at home, why would you bother going all the way to Panama?
Mm-hmm.
Only the Transparency International again. On their best countries, the best, most transparent, most wonderful countries. Do you know who number 1 was?
No.
The greatest country, their shining star of anti-corruption.
I have no clue.
Iceland.
Oh, good. Well, Iceland, I mean, yes, the Prime Minister was implicated in this, but out of all of the names in these lists, the only one who, at this point, has faced consequences for it has been the Prime Minister of Iceland, who has had to step down. The Icelandic people do not suffer this kind of thing. They will not abide it. And just as they did when the economic crisis happened before, they ousted him in a moment.
Well, that's one of the things. So, for those of you who don't know what happened in Iceland, back in October of 2008, there was a whole bunch of corruption and insider trading and stuff like that going on, and this led to the 3 largest banks in Iceland all falling apart within 3 days.
Wow.
That led to the Iceland's stock market going down 90%.
Wow.
That's a crash. The krone, the currency there, lost half of its value. The gross national product of Iceland went down 10%.
And do you care to tell us what the Icelandic people did?
First, one of the things we just found out in the paper. Do you know who was responsible for all those dealings
Who?
that caused that?
Who?
Mossack Fonseca.
Oh, this gets better and better.
Wow.
So the company we're talking about, with all of its offshore trading and whatnot, was responsible for the October 2008 crisis. The people kicked out the person who was in charge.
They took the street, just massive demonstrations
Yeah.
in the streets of Reykjavik. Keep in mind, this is not a very populous country. You had such a large proportion of the population take the streets that it's just astounding. They don't play games with this.
The 3 heads of the 3 banks all went to jail. 3 of the largest people hiding money in these shelters in the government went to jail. So they actually jailed people for this.
And they refused to bail out the banks. They said this is their fault. We will not pay for their mess.
Hence their fall.
Interesting.
Which is why they put in the new Prime Minister, Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson.
What?
Is the current guy.
That was a pretty good pronunciation.
And these are my people. And
Your peeps.
Vikings. And yeah, he was listed. He's on the current list that just came out.
And how'd they react?
What happened a couple days ago?
They took the streets again. At first, the opposition party in parliament asked him to resign, and they called for a vote of no confidence. He at first said, no, absolutely not. No rules were broken. I will not step down. The very next day, he had stepped down. Because he had no support in parliament. He could not continue.
So the Prime Minister of Iceland is gone.
He dissolved parliament. They're going to go probably to new elections. And God bless Ireland. Iceland. Ireland as well, but God bless Iceland.
I'm also in favor of Ireland. Jeez. Did you hear his defense? Why he did nothing wrong? Did you hear his defense?
I did not.
So Iceland has a series of regulations saying that individuals and corporations have to pay these certain fees and taxes and stuff like that. He has an offshore shell company that didn't pay these, thus he's breaking the law, right? His defense is, I didn't. Quote, companies that don't really do any business shouldn't be subject to that regulation.
But not only that, I mean, the accusations against him are not so much about tax fraud. They're about not disclosing incompatibilities. I mean, the company he had, his wife had, they both had it. He sold it to her, and then they...
He sold it to her, huh?
Well, they, for
Wintress.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, Wintress was owed a massive amount of money by these banks which had failed. And he personally led the negotiations between the creditors and the banks. So this is a conflict of interest. This is a clear conflict of interest, which he did not disclose. So whatever the situation is with his taxes, this is an act of corruption. And it's not something that the Icelanders are going to forgive him.
Well, and to make matters worse, that happened when he created Wintrust and had the offshore account and stuff like that, that was before the 2008 crash even happened.
Wow.
So he was part of that. Then the crash happened, and he didn't get any dirt in his hands, and then ran on an anti-corruption campaign called the In Defense of Iceland campaign.
Wow.
And do you know what their main strategy was in that? The main thrust of the campaign?
No, what?
So when Iceland's economy tanked, Iceland owed massive amounts of money to Britain. Britain tried to collect on its debts and couldn't. So Britain put sanctions on Iceland using anti-terrorism laws.
Wow.
So Iceland was put on the same list as Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Wow. That's crazy.
So the In Defense of Iceland campaign that he ran was, "We are not terrorists."
It's kind of like what Trump wants to do with the border wall, where he wants to force Mexico in giving the money for the wall by taking money transfers from the U.S. to Mexico and blocking them.
Yeah.
Kind of like that, but using a terrorist law. So he's taking it from the British.
Extreme and completely disproportionate tactics in order to
to get what he wants. Yeah.
To give you something that you want. Yeah. Sounds like the British.
Yeah.
But so Iceland went through all of this.
U.S.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So Iceland went through all of this. Iceland has been getting over the 2008 crisis. They're just beginning to get over it. They're saying they're beginning to recover. Now these papers came out, and do you see all the people who are implicated? Iceland's Prime Minister, Sigmundur David Gunnlaugsson, their Finance Minister, their Minister of the Interior, the Chairman of the Progressive Party, a bunch of their wealthiest people, and a bunch of their top bankers are all on this list.
And I hate to make it a procedural story, but it's interesting to note that the consortium of investigative journalists did not actually know anyone from Iceland. They had to go through other Nordic contacts to find a trustworthy Icelandic journalist to work with them. So this is just to get all this ready. It's just a massive enterprise in itself. But once again, we're missing the scale of it, concentrating on Iceland. Iceland is the only country where there have been heads falling for the moment.
So far, it's been, what, 4 days?
Yeah, so they were very quick. Other countries are now starting the legal process. Their justice systems are starting to look at the papers, seeing what crimes might have been committed, and this is going to last a while. This is not going to be something that is just the news of the week. We're going to have to go back to talk about things linked to the Panama Papers for a long time to come. And espresso shots. What
Which is topic number 2. Alright, so, first thing.
In lieu of topic number 2.
They're calling it the iGun controversy. Did anybody see the new gun that is coming out from a company called Ideal Conceal? Is the manufacturer?
Yes.
Creepy.
They've already got 4,000 pre-orders. It's not supposed to come out until sometime around June or July. It's a 380 caliber double barrel handgun. Effectively, it's a Derringer. And it's getting a lot of controversy. The main reason is because it is designed to look just like an iPhone.
What's an iPod?
Don't know what an iPod is?
I know.
Oh, okay.
That is a horribly terrifying thing. I thought that was the cell phone. I was wrong.
Part of their advertisement is even the police won't know if it's a phone or not.
That's scary.
Why is that a thing that they're doing?
Also, part of their advertisement is smartphones are everywhere, so this pistol will easily blend in today's environment.
My only question is why.
Because of money.
Money, yeah. People want to... the gun nuts want to conceal on.
Again, they've already sold 4,000 pre-orders. Hasn't come out yet.
I know, but why? Who thought that was a good idea?
A guy named Kirk Hjelberg. He's the developer. He tells a story about how he lives in a state where he's allowed to conceal carry without a permit. And he walked into a cafe or a restaurant or something to sit down, pulled his coat aside, and a girl saw his gun. And she said, "Look, Mom, that man has a gun." So everyone in the restaurant turned and looked at him. He felt embarrassed and realized, you know what? I'll bet you there's concealed carriers all across the country who have to deal with this all the time.
No,
It's terrible.
actually, this
You
guy
should be
is
able to come in and just
stupid.
put your gun on the table without anyone looking at you. And with this, you can. You can leave it right on your table and no one will know that it's a gun.
You know, the idea of a phone gun is good, but if he can't conceal his firearm even while sitting down, that means he may not. He's not a good concealed carrier. Really?
You know what this reminds
No,
me
the
of?
only part of that
What
I
happened?
might
Not
take
getting
exception
invited to
to
a party,
is the
and then
fact that you said that the
your
idea
childhood.
of a phone-shaped gun is good.
I'm not that much of a gun nut, but I do think that's an interesting idea, though.
Yeah,
that's
for a
pretty big.
spy.
For a spy, yeah, exactly.
I mean, we add so many things
Uh-huh.
to phones these days. Why not a gun?
There's an ad for that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
You
we
want
might
to
be
shoot that
adding-
guy?
we might be adding
Yeah,
even
but-
more. So
That's
again,
what
right
the
now it's
ads call,
effectively
shoot
a
that guy.
derringer.
Mm-hmm.
So right now there's a tiny bullets, tiny gun, boom, there you go. Kind of like what prostitutes used to use back in the day. In their garter they would carry these. That's the reason they existed in the first place, is to protect prostitutes from other people back in the Wild West era when prostitution was totally legal. The biggest complaint, lots of conversation going on. Right now, Senator Chuck Schumer is currently leading a Senate investigation, investigating this gun to see if it is legal, trying to get the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to look into it. Because they've already said that guns that look like
Things that
wallets
kill
or
you.
pens or knives or things are illegal. So why wouldn't this be
Cell
illegal?
phone one? Yeah.
He wants them to look into that. But yeah, so the Senate's going to be looking in alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. The main talk going around on the web amongst people is the biggest complaint about the gun is that the caliber's too weak.
Okay.
What do they want to do with this?
These guys just want to sell it, make some money, and
No,
have
no,
like
the
just
people
regular
buying
people.
Do they want to hunt moose?
No,
No,
a
it's for
self-defense gun.
self-protection.
It's listed as a self-protection.
So,
But though,
self-defense.
it-
The person you're defending yourself against is how big is this person and how
Yeah.
far? What do you need such a high caliber gun to defend
Mm-hmm.
yourself? It's
Again,
Well,
this is
they-
effectively a derringer designed to protect prostitutes from their johns. So it's designed to
So
protect you from
they're-
large
they're
men
prob-
already.
Yeah, there's probably some guys who
So I-
need to
you know
protect
what-
themselves from
you know
their
what I'm
johns, you
imagining?
know.
say I was a prostitute.
And what I'm imagining is that it's just a bunch of gun connoisseurs saying, I want my pocket gun, my secret pocket gun, to be powerful and manly.
But that's
You know, I don't want my cutesy little prostitute gun. I want a super powerful iPhone impersonating gun.
All right.
That's just what I'm imagining, is that they're like, this is so pansy. Ugh.
If you want your gun to substitute your virility, then just get yourself an actual pistol.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
did you
better
just
gun.
imply that they're compensated?
I did. I think I did. But they get themselves an actual gun, one of those
Well-
Wild West things. Those are beautiful, and
And
hey,
then people look at you when you bring it
They
into
hang
a
nice.
restaurant.
or a Glock 17.
God,
You know,
how
those
dare
Glock
they?
17s.
How
yeah.
dare they have a moment of question whether
Yeah.
they're safe or not when there's somebody's just like,
Well, the thing is why
it makes me uncomfortable that they feel uncomfortable.
did this guy take a concealed carry course or anything? Because that concealed
No,
carry
he lives in
courses-
one of the 23 states where you don't even need a permit to conceal carry.
Wow, that is.
Or in
wow.
fact, he also talks about open carry.
That is
Open
very
carry is even
extreme.
it scares a lot of people even
There's
more.
23 states where open carry is totally legal
Mm-hmm.
without a permit.
Wow. But still, it's based on like the private property owner's right to say, "Hey,
Yeah.
don't come on my property with their gun." You know,
you can
things
turn
like
away
that.
people if they have sex before marriage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
in
Can't we just,
Mississippi.
My
Yeah.
brain just exploded.
So the developer, Kurt Kielberg, has said he will address this concern. He hopes that within a year or two, they will be able to get a significant larger caliber in this phone gun, and eventually even go semi-automatic.
Ooh, why wouldn't you want that?
I find this whole being someone who's very against carrying guns at all. I find this ridiculous and stupid, and it shouldn't be happening.
I enjoy guns. I've done it. I've shot a gun once, and it was the greatest thing of my entire life. Tony, you know, and so does Adam, obviously, because you were also there. But that is terrifying to me, that you can like that me with my iPhone right here, you guys don't know whether this is a gun or not. And just swinging
Stop
it
waving
around,
that.
and-
Stop it.
Exactly. Don't put your cell phone at me. God.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
that is
look at it
scary.
from the point of view of the arguments in favor of guns. Does that help you defend your home? No.
No, you need more bullets than two.
Is that really necessary to defend you from people outside? No. The only thing it helps you is to put that in an innocuous way in an environment where people are going to be completely.
Especially if you can't get a permit. Those who have a permit at least are smart and not. They have to take a psychological test, but to have general public walking around with guns,
21st
that's
states
scary.
don't require a permit.
See, this is going with the whole guns for self-defense, everything. Like I like that's I think what that whole argument is based on is I want a gun to protect myself. And so, okay, you want a gun to protect yourself. You want to be able to have a gun inside your home to protect yourself. You want a gun on your hip to protect yourself. Okay. The gun should look like a gun, though, because people should know what they're getting into.
Exactly.
If you hold up a cell phone at someone, they're not going to know whether to be afraid or not. And then the only thing that you could do at that point is to actually take action and shoot it, when maybe just a threat could have been enough to negate whatever.
Yeah, just seeing an actual gun would scare somebody.
And that is what part of the address is. You also may wonder, again, how are they even trying to do this if they say the Firearms Act says your gun has to look like a gun. It can't be concealed. You can't use a wallet gun, a pen gun, or a knife gun.
Or a camera gun like the Russians used to use.
This part right here, the lower half of the iPhone, you grab it right there and you drag it down, turn it into a handle. So now you hold it, aim your phone, and shoot.
But
so they are saying it is not a disguised gun.
But it is.
If you're going to shoot it, you have to fold it down, and now it looks like a gun.
Oh, so this is kind of like the pocket knife that you can fold.
Yeah.
So
it's fold open.
It's a pocket
like
gun.
that. Because you're holding an actual handle.
But see, that doesn't help.
It's still concealed up until the 2 seconds before you're about to use it.
And that's what Chuck Schumer in Congress is saying, still makes it illegal. That's what the manufacturer is saying, makes it totally legal. Because it's not concealed when you shoot it, and that's all that matters.
But that...
But not here in California.
People are just really itching to shoot someone. Which makes me scared. If people are trying to get away with it, to make it so inconspicuous that it looks something that like everyone has, then it means that they really want to use it.
Which is that's crazy.
I kind of get I kind of can halfway wrap my head around the mentality of wanting something that's scary, so that if they see it, maybe they will think twice about mugging you. That kind of I can halfway wrap my head around that kind of mentality. But if you go like this and all you see is an iPhone, that's not going to stop something bad for you from happening. Then you're going to actually have to use it, in which you may not have to go that far.
Well, see, that's an argument that I've heard before from people who advocate things like this. Is, say there's a mugger on the street. The mugger is going to try to mug you. You have a gun, so he doesn't mug you. Instead, he goes and mugs Tony. It would be much better if he tried to mug you and you could just kill him.
The thing that gets me, too, is that the catalyst for the creation of this, or maybe he was just looking for an excuse and it was going to happen anyway, was a little kid saw his gun and was like, oh my god, Mom, that guy has a scary weapon! And then he's like, oh my god, how humiliating. Like, a little kid got scared.
Or
Like,
just interest. Look at him and say, oh my goodness, a gun! And then everyone else looked at him and, they looked at him.
right.
It's horrible.
Right. It's just,
You might
the
suffer from
catalyst
social
is a child,
anxiety.
yeah.
You don't understand.
No, I understand. Everyone has social anxiety. That doesn't mean that you have to... Ugh, God, it's creepy.
Alright, we're moving on to the next espresso shot. Next flavor of espresso.
Gun. Sounds good.
The other day, Reince Priebus, the head of the RNC, the Republican National
what's
Committee.
he taste like?
He had a meeting with Donald Trump. And after said meeting, he did an interview where he was asked, do you think Donald Trump is the strongest candidate for the GOP? He said, I don't know if Donald Trump is the strongest candidate. I think all of our candidates could win in the general election. Which is also just not true. I don't think all of them
No, it's
could.
just this thing that one says when one is the chairman of the RNC.
Precisely. The more relevant part of this is the loyalty oath. that we talked about last week.
Which they all
where
wanted to
they
break,
all
yeah.
promised the loyalty oath. We will all follow whoever eventually wins. And now every single one of them has gone back on it.
They don't want to follow the dear leader.
But so all three of them went back on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He gave a threat to Donald Trump, telling Donald Trump that breaking the loyalty oath would have consequences. And then Fox News and everyone else went back about how dare Donald Trump and Donald Trump's going back on the oath and all that stuff, ignoring the other two entirely. So, this has led to a lot of people talking about the potential for a brokered convention and what's going to happen there, who's going to be on whose side, who's going to be backing who could potentially win, which is again what Kasich is counting on, and
So,
potentially Mitt Romney.
consequences. Was this just an empty threat, or did he enumerate some consequence that he might face?
He did not.
Ah, so it's an empty threat. Great.
We'll find out. But one of the things everyone's talking about for the convention is the Romney Rule, is the nickname. It's actually Rule 40B for the Republican convention. Have any of you heard about that?
From you. So
I think
let's hear
Alfred
from him
has.
as well.
He's smirking at me in a malevolent fashion.
As I do.
But yeah, so Rule 40B of the Republican convention. It says candidates must have a plurality of delegates in 8 or more states to be eligible in the convention. So if it goes to a brokered convention under Rule 40B, the only people they can even nominate are people who, during the primary, got a plurality in 8 or more states. So do you know who that leaves?
No, Kasich would be kicked out. Oh, Trump would be the only one standing.
Cruz doesn't meet that.
Yeah. Wow, Trump would be the only one there, right?
Plurality, sorry?
More than half, basically.
So, wow, they wouldn't even have a contested convention. It would just be automatically Trump.
Under Rule 40B, no one else is eligible. It used to be they could call in anyone. Now they cannot. They added Rule 40B. Do you know why they added it? Why is it called the Romney Rule?
Isn't it because of, what's his name, Ron Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
During Mitt Romney, when Mitt Romney was running at the convention, it was a contested convention, and they had to pick a nominee, and a lot of people tried to put in the name for Ron Paul. And they didn't want Ron Paul in the convention, so they made Rule 40B to prevent Ron Paul's name from being nominated.
Oh, wow.
So now they're going to have to either vote and look ridiculously hypocritical by immediately, one cycle later, removing Rule 40B just to allow their own candidates in, which looks really, really bad.
Couldn't they just remove the rule before they go into the
No,
convention?
they can't change or do any rule changes until the Rules Committee meets, and the Rules Committee meets immediately before the convention starts.
Oh, so before the convention they can change the rules.
But immediately, so it's at the convention.
Oh.
The convention begins, and before the convention starts, the Rules Committee meets. At the convention.
Oh, okay.
Then, after they meet, then the convention begins.
So then they could suspend that rule before the thing starts.
Yes, but at the convention.
Oh, that's...
So on the day of, on the hour of, after they've opened the doors and everything.
Oh, wow.
So it's literally going to be at the convention. But they don't do anything else in the convention until that happens.
Wow. That's crazy.
So yeah.
Stop it, Brittany!
I'm sorry, Adam.
So yeah. The other big problem they're talking about is
Evil power man.
the vice president process. Like we talked about last week, the vice president has to be nominated by delegates.
Usually, I thought the vice president just gets chosen by the person
The person who's
running.
running for president
Yeah.
picks who they want to be the vice president, who then has to be nominated by the delegates at the convention.
Oh, wow.
You mentioned that Nixon had difficulty getting his vice presidential pick
Yeah,
elected.
Nixon wanted Ronald Reagan as his vice president.
But they picked Agnew instead?
They voted 7 times.
Hmm.
There were 7 votes on vice president.
Mm-hmm.
And the delegates kept tying and splitting between Ronald Reagan and Spiro Agnew until finally they convinced them to Agnew.
Now it's time for coffee beans.
Ooh, here's a coffee bean. Let's say you're in Kuwait or Qatar or Yemen, and you really, really want a yogurt. Where's that yogurt coming from?
I don't know. Tell us.
Interestingly enough, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has a huge dairy industry. but, being a desert, they find it difficult to feed the cows. They have to import all of the alfalfa, all of this. And do you know where that's coming from?
The U.S.?
Spain.
At first, they wanted to do it in Africa, but they had a lot of trouble. They bought a lot of the land, but they had a lot of issues with the local governments, and so now they're turning to California.
Oh, wow.
The Saudis are buying thousands upon thousands of acres of California land in order to grow food for their cattle, which they will import through just huge boatloads in order to feed Saudi cows, in order to make milk, to make yogurt, to, quench the desire of the Kuwaitis.
That's really
yogurt.
cool.
Hmm.
That's a really interesting chain of, I don't even know what word I want to use. I'm tired. But
I feel like
it's just an interesting flow of resources. It's an interesting flow of resources.
Yeah, this is just a case study of what globalism means.
Mm-hmm.
I like to imagine that's foreshadowing for a future topic.
It just may be.
All right. Special guest.
I'm going to read a poem. The Snake by Al Wilson. On her way to work one morning, down the path alongside the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Oh, well," she cried, "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a curvature of silk, and then laid him by the fireside with some honey and some milk. Now she hurried home from work that night. As soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the snake. Now she clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried, "but if I hadn't brought you in by now, you might have died." Now she stroked his pretty skin, and then she kissed him and held him tight.
Oh, no.
But instead of saying thanks, the snake gave her a vicious bite.
Oh, no.
"Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the snake. There's one more verse. "I saved you," cried that woman, "and you bit me even. Why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, you silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in." "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the snake.
It's okay. Wait. Before
So
we say
yeah, so they understand.
Brittany needs to
explain
give the
to us
reason why she's reading
why.
this.
Well, explain to the listeners why we were all laughing in just at all of this.
I assume it's because of the patriarchy.
No.
No, I know.
The story that
In
prompted
this case.
Because Donald Trump thought it was appropriate, I think twice now, if I understand, to read this song, the lyrics to this song during his speeches.
That is a complete, blatant, there's no questions about it. That is him talking to us saying, "You knew what I was."
Yeah, this is an absolute lack of self-awareness.
No, I think that is almost too much for even him to miss. I think that.
Well,
So Trump is trying to tell us all that he's a
That's
snake. Wow.
There's a video. You can actually watch him doing a video of this. He prefaces it. He says,
the
"You know,
Mexicans.
everyone keeps saying we're bringing the Mexicans into this
Yeah.
country. Well, this is what Mexicans are like." And then reads the snake.
No.
Yes,
This
we-
I think
is,
he's
so
also
we
using
Mexicans
it
are
to
snakes,
Ted
but-
Cruz.
Ooh.
There you go.
Either
All
way,
right,
that
well,
is
that's my coffee.
absolutely
Wow.
Donald Trump. That's,
So if
that's
he
the
is
threat of his
nominated,
candidacy.
we need to just read this back to
Yes.
the Republican Party as a corporate whole
Yes.
over and over again.
Repeatedly. This will become the new national anthem.
This will be the bedtime story for the Republican Party if he gets the nomination.
This is the old wives' tale that will scare the Republicans
Into voting for, humans.
anything.
Huh? Madame the Redhead, you are up.
Okay, so
What?
So, hold on, let me pull up my article. You're gonna delete this part real quick.
Okay.
Just because I want to make sure that I have my verbiage correct, because I don't know how long it's been. So, you guys know who Isaac Newton is, you know. Whatever.
Yes, sir.
Very
Isaac
famous,
Newton, yes.
legendary physicist.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it says it on
Vaguely.
this. Yeah, vaguely. They recently found his lost alchemy recipe.
Oh my god.
Like, and there's a picture on this article on National Geographic News
Oh, wow.
with his handwriting. It's the actual papers. Yeah, they found him, and unfortunately,
Did they find out how to make gold from lead?
well, what's funny is they talk a lot about the, not science behind it, the alchemy behind it, talking about how it's the obvious production of a fool and a knave, talking about one of Newton's biographers talking about how a mind of such power could take seriously the obvious production of a fool and a knave, and mocking Newton for ever backing this idea, ever taking it seriously. And Newton's alma mater, Cambridge, has turned down the opportunity to archive his alchemy recipes,
What?
and they were sold at auction in 1936 for a combined total of just over 9,000 British pounds.
Wow.
Many have ended up in the private hands and out of scholarly reach.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's why, yeah.
I mean,
it's
yes, alchemy
saddening.
was stupid, but it didn't seem stupid, and it wasn't foolish for them to engage in it at the time, given their understanding of things. And it's a very interesting record of, well, all these people who we now revere as scientific minds. Well, it shows us that different times, different when you have different things on your reach, well, you're going to be interested in different things. They are not us. We are not in the same mindset as them, and this helps us understand them better. It's really a loss for them not to have archived it.
Yeah,
Oh, it
absolutely.
Yeah, so the newfound recipe was copied from... So Newton copied the strange text from manuscripts by the American-born George Starkey. He's a 17th century alchemist, better known under his romantic pen name.
Oh, hey.
Excuse me if I botch this, but Irenaeus Philalethes, and the peaceful lover of truth. That's what it translates to. Yeah, and it talks about repeatedly distilling mercury and then heating it with gold. And it would eventually produce an alloy with delicate branch-like growths. Either way, it's really cool that they found this.
Especially since a lot of the old alchemist formulas and stuff like that is the origins of modern chemistry. So, it's frustrating.
It is. So sad story for, you know,
Did they at
archiving
least
cool
digitalize
things, but-
them?
I mean, there's a picture right here, so...
Well, the rest was sold in the 1930s, so
Yeah.
they did not digitalize
So those
them.
ones, no,
They
but
didn't
this
digitalize
one right
those. That's
here...
a pity. They
This one
should've.
right here, there's a photo. I just showed you the photograph. So that one's digitalized, it seems. At least this page, so these 2 pages open. But the rest of them are just all over the place.
During the history
More
show,
than
we
pity.
need to do an episode on Isaac Newton.
Yes, agreed.
Great.
Alchemy and science.
Yeah.
Sticking needles into our eyes.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just saying, we promise we will. Cross my heart, hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye.
Madame
Let's
the
see what
French.
it colors.
Madame Le French?
Madame the French.
Okay.
Go.
Le
dude,
Monsieur
le
de Gauthier.
Yeah. Le nice feminine goatee,
Tidbit.
no?
Tidbit.
Ah oui, oui.
Coffee bean.
Yes. Pour moi, coffee bean is interesting. I don't know much French, okay? But okay, so my wife, she went out of town for a couple days recently and came back with some gifts. And she gave me these 2 awesome books. They're called William Shakespeare's Star Wars.
Oh,
What?
Yep.
Yeah, they're pretty interesting. They're like she only got me the original Star Wars and the original Return of the Jedi versions that some writer wrote in Shakespeare writing. And
Is it
I've gone
just
through.
Shakespeare in English, or do they also just make it a play?
It's actually an actual play.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a parody. It's really cool.
Oh my goodness.
Albert, before you leave, I request that you guys just duke this out.
Oh yeah.
Please.
The original trilogy has been out for a while.
Mhm.
They just came out with the new trilogy as well. So Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, those just got their Shakespearean treatment.
The play.
Yeah, so it's fascinating.
I want you to perform the play before
Yeah.
you leave, please.
Oh.
It's just fascinating just how this one writer took everything from Star Wars and added like a Shakespearean language to it.
That's kind of badass.
Yeah.
So that somebody took the time and was like, okay, I freaking love Star Wars. How can I make Star Wars cool in another way?
I want to know how they do a
I am
Shakespeare.
your father in iambic pentameter.
I want to know how they do the Shakespearean twist on the weird incestual kiss.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much given.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just do it
Yeah.
in Shakespeare and English. And that's,
The kiss.
No,
The
yes.
kiss.
Stop it.
I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I had to say it.
The kiss was all I missed. What? Huh?
Luke and Leia. And it's,
Oh, Luke and Leia's kiss. Oh.
I mean, but that more than Shakespearean. That's
Yeah, oh,
that's
yeah,
more
yeah,
Greek
yeah.
tragedy than Shakespearean.
That's if he had sex with his mother.
No,
right?
stop it. Stop it. No.
Luke is not Oedipus.
I don't know. We still have 2 more movies.
The Luke and
My bean. The State Department. The State Department recently came out with a Twitter at travel.gov. And their tweet said, not a 10 in the United States, referring to attractiveness, not a 10 in the United States, then you're not a 10 overseas. Beware of being lured into buying expensive drinks or worse, being robbed. Hashtag spring breaking badly.
I remember you telling me about that.
So
Wow.
they had to
I'm
they very quickly removed that and published an apology tweet saying, some have been offended by our earlier tweet
I
and we
wonder
apologize
why."
that it came off negatively.
Then it says 1 out of 2. Is there a second one?
Yeah, there's actually wound up being like 3 more. But so the comment here that the guy who wrote this article does, I love how he references it. He says, so don't spend too much money on that nice new bathing suit you've been eyeing online. If you're ugly here, you'll still be ugly if everyone you'll still be ugly overseas, and you should be instantly suspicious of anyone who smiles at you. You'll be fat no matter what you wear, I told myself this morning, wiping away fat tears from the back of my pudgy hand.
What?
So yeah, so the State Department is now in the middle of a tweet storm, as they're calling it, of people accusing them of being tone deaf, of using unpleasant adjectives to describe people, fat shaming, being misogynistic.
Wow.
Yeah, the whole
all sorts of
numbering
things.
system for people is just itself terrible.
Yeah,
Alvaro, you're a 10.
but
I was waiting for
well,
it.
so
I actually could have like, yes.
the actual article I'm reading is some people saying, plus that's actually just factually inaccurate. Followed by an article saying people who are really attractive here aren't considered all that attractive in Guam. Guam likes short, chubby people, and it's a whole list around the world of if you meet these traits, they'll like you in these countries.
Okay.
And if these ones over here, so if you're not a 10 here, you will be somewhere else. You should start traveling.
Adam, this goes back to that thing I showed. Do you remember what I was talking about a couple months ago? There's an artist went around talking to people from different countries, looking at magazines from different countries, and sketched out what the perfect woman would look like in each country. In it, actually no, not even that. It was one woman sent her picture and says "Make me beautiful" to a bunch of artists in different countries. That's what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, and the results were widely varying. It's really cool. Not cool like but it's just every country
Yeah.
objectifies women in different ways, you know?
Yep.
Yes.
So I
All right.
what you were saying for a second. That was cool.
So that's our show for today. Come back again next week. As always, I'm Adam Kincaid, here with Anthony DeFranco, Alvaro Gutierrez, Ariel Ayers, and Brittany Stain.
Thank you.
See you again next week, and
Grab yourselves a cup of coffee and tune in.
Thanks for visiting today, but the coffee house is now closed. We'll be open for business again next week, same time, same place. Join us again then, and we'll have a set of new specials ready for you to sample, and more riveting conversation to be had.
Ariel, who is the band that is playing the opening song?
The Corner Laughers.
And what is the song called?
It's called Dead Sicilians. You can find them on iTunes, you can find them on YouTube, and a link on our website and all our social media. They play shows in Sacramento, they play songs in the Bay Area, including San Francisco, Redwood City, Berkeley a lot, actually. They've been to the UK. They actually played where the Beatles first played.
So if you like them, if you like their music on iTunes or their CDs, you can easily go see one of their shows.
So
They've
look
been
them up.
gracious enough to give us the
Allow
use
us
of their
to
music.
use their music.